All right, guys, today I have a question for you that I think is a very important question to ask yourself every now and then. And that question is this: are you a likable man? Now, this is something very important to ask yourself every now and then because it's good to do a little self check in. Because I get a lot of questions on Instagram asking me about how to make friends, or how can I meet more women, or how can I bring in better women or better friends. So this got me thinking, you want to bring in all of these great people into your life, but who exactly are you? What type of a man are you? And are you the type of man that can bring in the type of people that you would like to associate with or date or be friends with? So that's why I thought, it's good to just take a moment, ask yourself this: am I a likable man? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through a list of 5 points. And these are observations. These are things, these are traits that if you possess, chances are you're a man that is considered likable. Now, some of these traits are going to be a bit unique. You may not have thought about these before, but these are going from my own experiences that I've observed, that I've gone through myself, that I want to share with you, that hopefully you can take these and then add them onto your own personality tool belts or arsenal. Because if you can do this, you are most definitely increase your likability, if not become a very likable man. So we're going to go through these things, and then we're going to talk about some other things that you can do, some more concrete tips, actionable items that you can employ to make yourself a likable man. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, the first thing is, do the people who gravitate towards you, are those people mainly positive people, or are they negative people? Okay, do the people that want to be around you, are they people who are generally have a good personality, are upbeat, have a positive outlook on life, are people who smile, or who, whenever something bad happens, they can look on the bright side? Or do you have people who are always complaining, who are pessimistic, who just have a bad attitude, always look at the dark parts of the world, who think about how everything is going wrong with the world, who are like moaning and groaning about anything that happens to them? Are those the type of people? I mean, I like to call those people energy drainers or energy vampires. They just, when you're around them, you feel like shit. You feel down in the dumps. They don't lift you up. They pull you down. They drag you down. It's like having your feet stuck in the mud. Or are the people that you're with really give you a boost of confidence? Like after you're done hanging out with them, you're like, damn, I feel good. Okay, so ask yourself that question. Who are the types of people that are drawn towards you naturally? Okay, the second one is, do people seek you out asking you for advice or for your thoughts? Do people see you as someone that they can go to talk to about life issues, or maybe it's relationship things, maybe it's career? Do they seek out your wisdom? Because if they do, this tells you that they are comfortable with you, that you're someone who's very approachable, and that is generally signs of being a likable man. Now, I want to just differentiate real quick, because I think some of you may think that, especially when it comes to women, so that means if they come to me for all this advice to tell me about all the men that they're dating and all the problems they're having with their boyfriend, that means that I'm a likable guy. Nah, that's a little bit different. That's you are in the friend zone and she's just using you for emotional support. It's a little bit different. There are obviously ways that women or men can come to you for advice that you don't put yourself in the friend zone. But in general, the question is, do people seek you out and ask your thoughts on things? Okay, because if they do, like I said, it means that you're very approachable, and it means that you have a level of depth and knowledge about things that people trust, which makes you likable. All right, the third one, number 3, this is a different one. This one might surprise you. Do you get certain deals, or do people hook you up with things that you don't necessarily know very well, like a random stranger or people that you come into contact at a store? Like for example, a lot of the times when I'm out or shopping, I have this weird knack of people will give me discounts on things, or they'll give me things for free a lot of the times. And it's not just some promotion that they're doing. Or I'll get access to, like if I'm going to an event and maybe I don't have a ticket, people's like, all right, go ahead and go in, buddy. There's something that I've noticed, that certain people have this ability to immediately warm up to others, and you get to get all sorts of perks in your life. So maybe some of you have experienced this. Maybe someone threw in an extra burger when you were at McDonald's, or I don't know, something like that, where you're getting these perks, or people are hooking you up with a deal because they just really, really like you. I have one really great example. So this is way back in the day when I was really heavy into collecting action figures. And I went to this guy, he was selling on Craigslist, and I went to his sale, and he had this huge collection of these vintage toys that I really was like, wow, these are amazing. I only had a very small amount of money, and I said to the guy, well, I'd love to buy something, but I only have this much money. I mean, is there anything here that I could get for that much? And he goes, you know what, man? I can tell you really like this stuff. I'm going to give you the entire lot, the whole bunch of it. I mean, this stuff was worth thousands and thousands of dollars. I think I only had like $100, and he gave them all to me for $100 because he's like, you know what, you seem like a great guy, and I want these to go to a good home. And that blew me away. So that's sort of an example of what I mean by, do you have this ability to get these amazing deals from people who just somehow are like you? Okay, number 4. Are people excited to see you that haven't seen you for a while? Or even if they have seen you for a while, people just in general, are they excited to see you? And I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about family, I'm talking about relatives that maybe you haven't seen for a while. Do people come up to you and say things like, oh, good, I'm glad you're here. I was hoping I'd see you. I've missed you. Or, it's so good to see you. How are you? Tell me what's up with you. Do people, when they see you, are they like that? Or are they a little bit more cordial, like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? Haven't seen you for a while. Are they less excited to see you, or are they more excited to see you? Okay? This is something that I think men who are very likable, who have this magnetic personality, and it doesn't mean that you need to be super wild and crazy and outgoing, but men who have that likable factor, people want to see them. They want to just be in their presence because there's just something about you that lifts people up. So ask yourself that question, when you see people that you haven't seen for a while, what's their reaction like? And is it genuine? Are they truly happy to see you? It's a great sign. If they are, it's a good sign that you are a likable man. Okay, let's go on to the last and final, the 5th point. Do people that you don't know, that you chat with or strike up a conversation with, do they engage in the conversation? Do they enjoy talking to you? Do they open up and share things with you even though you may just be a total perfect stranger that they just met? Like, how comfortable are they talking to you? Or do they, with their body language, kind of like close off and look at you and have their body going this way? Do they keep their words brief? Are they reluctant to open up and expand and engage in a conversation with you? Or, like I said, do people open up towards you with their body language? Do they tell you certain things? Do they smile when they talk to you? Men who are likable, who just have a natural sense of comfort when you're around them, people just open up to them. You can get people to tell you so many different things about themselves because they just feel so comfortable around you. So these are the 5 things that make a very likable man. So ask yourself if you have any of these, okay? If you do, it's a good sign. If you don't, well, let's talk about this, and I'm gonna give you some. This is like a self-evaluation that you can give to yourself, and you can diagnose. And if you do these things, I'm going to give you some alternate ways that you can behave so you can be a more likable man. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing that you should ask yourself is, are you critical of other people? Like, are you always ripping on other people? Are you negative towards them? Do you criticize more than you compliment people? Let's see here. Do you are you always seeing the downside of everything? Like, hey, I knew that was gonna happen, man. Like, I told you so. Like, do you have that kind of an attitude, or do you have a lot more positive spin? Like, hey, man, you know what? There's some great things that you did here, but I think you could improve in this part of that problem. Or like, hey, you know what? You did the first round. Let's give it one more shot. Let's see if we can do a little bit better the next time. You know, like if you're in a position of leadership or you're talking to someone, how do you interact with them? And can you as well, can you take criticism and can you take teasing? If someone says something to you, are you just immediately butthurt and you get all hot under the collar? Or can you be like, yeah, okay, all right, I got you, man. And you can roll with the punches, you can laugh it off because you know to a certain extent maybe what they're saying is true, but you're not gonna let it hold you down, but you can at least laugh about it, okay? So if you're a guy who, again, if you're always criticizing people and if you're not able to see the positive, to put a positive spin on things, what you can do, obviously, is to flip that, to be able to be positive when it comes to things that might at the beginning seem like a negative. You can turn that and think and say to yourself and say to those that you're working with, like, hey, you know what could we do on the next round that would make this even better? You want to ask a question that leads you towards a different, more positive mindset and a positive outcome. All right, so that's the first step for self-diagnosing, okay? So if you're criticizing people all the time, that's not gonna be the way to go if you want to be a likable man, all right? So let's look at the second one here. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. Do you talk non-stop and never let anybody else say anything? Okay, are you the guy who always has to interject what you think, who always steps on the toes of what someone's trying to say just so you can get out your thought? Okay, if you're like this is something that really pushes people away. People want to be heard, and they're more than happy to hear what you have to say too, but they want to be heard as well. So if you are just forcing yourself onto people and not listening or taking in what they're saying, that will make you a man who people are not going to want to be around. And I've run into people like this every now and then, and a lot of them don't do it intentionally. They don't have malice in their intentions, but they just get so caught up in what they want to say. That's like all that matters to them, and it gets frustrating as the person talking to them because you just listen to them go on and on and on, and they don't acknowledge anything that you're saying. Let's see here. And do you, in addition to this, in the same point here is when other people are talking, like if you do give them the opportunity to speak, do you show genuine interest in what they're saying? Or are you just listening so you can hurry up and respond to it and continue talking again? Do you go straight back to yourself when it comes to that conversation? So think about this. Now, if we're looking at conversation styles in terms of percentages, generally, like if you're out on a date with a woman, you want to be doing 20% of the talking and then letting her do 80% of the talking, because women connect through talking and bonding and communicating and expressing themselves verbally a lot more. If you're with other dudes though, you want to keep it more balanced. I do think though, if you can be a better listener than a long talker, people will gravitate towards you more. You will appear, or you'll give off the vibe of a much more likable man, a guy who's really good at listening and who says what needs to be said, doesn't go on for too long. That, if you do talk too much, switch that and see how people interact with you. Okay, here we go. The third one here at self-diagnosing that you can use on yourself is, do you generously give people the spotlight? Okay, and what do I mean by this? I mean, are you a man who can be like, yo, look at you, man, you are looking fantastic. I love that suit you got on today. Dude, you look great, man. Have you been working out? It's saying things that put them in the spotlight. You make them feel good. I call it like kind of the feel good spotlight, where you don't need to be addressing yourself. You don't need to be talking about yourself. You can be like, yo, you are looking fantastic, man. Like you can ask them, how's your family doing? How's your mom and dad? And you show concern for them. And it's a genuine concern. You're not just doing this as a formality or something superficial. You genuinely care and you want to be generous and give them that spotlight. And you stay out of it. You don't need to be the man like in the spotlight at that moment. You're genuinely interested in their life. Yo, what's going on, man? How you been? How's work going? How's the family? How's your girlfriend? How's your mom and dad? What are they up to these days? Oh, really? Okay, cool, man. Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Like how's everything been going at work? And you give them that spotlight. You make them feel like, wow, someone is interested in what I'm saying here. Someone's actually wants to hear what I have to say, and I'm kind of a big deal. If you can make someone feel like that, if you can put them in that generosity spotlight and just give them their moment without needing to have your own, you don't have to necessarily reciprocate it, but if you can do that, you're going to really make people feel good about themselves, and people want to be around other people who make them feel good. So again, this goes back to what we were saying in the opening, is that you want to be able to have these traits that draw people in. Okay, and so if you can take the back seat and just let someone else shine for a while, that goes a long way. And I don't mean you need to be a pushover or like just have people step all over you. That's not what I'm saying. You can still be leading that interaction, but giving them that spotlight and making them feel really good about whatever it is and showing genuine interest. I mean, so much of it is just being genuine about how you ask them questions and how you listen. Make them feel heard, make them feel good. This will really increase your likability. Okay, and then the last one that I'm gonna introduce you today of a self-diagnosis of, how are you on the likability scale is, are you non-needy? And what I mean by this is that, can you just let people do their thing without having this inner, like a neediness where you either want them so much to be your friend or have this expectation that they're gonna be a certain way with you, and if they don't, you get butthurt about it? Because I've seen men who are like this, and especially guys who are trying to make friends, it's like they in their mind, they have an idea of what a friendship should be or what I want my friends to be like. And if they meet someone who doesn't live up to those expectations, then they're kind of visually irritable, or they become a bit controlling, trying to manipulate that person into being what they want them to be. Whereas what I'm saying is, in being non-needy is, are you a man who can just let someone be themselves? If they have different beliefs than you, or if they do things a little bit different than what you do or how you would do things personally, can you just let that person be themselves and be free? Now, this doesn't mean that you need to agree with everything they say. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. You can let them have their beliefs, you can have your beliefs, but you're not trying to change them or fix them or convince them to be something. I mean, if you're let's just say you're having like a political talk or some sort of a talk where it's like you have differing opinions, you can certainly present things, but you're like, hey, you know what? Like, you can let people have their thoughts on things, okay? For example, another thing too is a lot of people don't like to be judged. But I want to push back a little bit on this, and I think that you can judge people, but you can still accept them. Like, if somebody was drinking every night, or if I was talking to a girl who's doing stupid stuff, and I'd be like, dude, don't be that. I'd say exactly like, yo, that is ridiculous. Like, why are you doing that, man? Like, I wouldn't do that personally, but hey, man, if you want to do that, then you go right ahead, man. But I'm telling you, man, if you keep doing that, you're going to screw yourself over. So I have a belief. I have a judgment on what they're doing, and I'm going to say something, but at the same time, I'm going to say, hey, you have to make your own decision. This is what I think, man, but if you want to do it, then you go right ahead. It's an ability to express yourself and be outcome independent. Hey, I'm going to say what I think, but at the end of the day, you make your own decision. It's all good. Now, of course, people push you too far, then you obviously have the right to, hey, I don't want to associate with that person anymore. That's fine. But in this particular bullet point where I'm talking about being non-needy, are you a man who can just let people be their thing? And even if it really rubs you the wrong way, are you confident enough to just be like, all right, man, if that's your thing, that's you. You can be a big brother type of a persona, because I see this happening with myself a lot, where I'll be with people who are doing things that I'm not into, but I'm just kind of like, all right, guys, you do your thing, you enjoy that. And it's like I have a big brotherly quality, which is like, I'll stay doing my thing, I'll stay grounded, you guys do your thing. And I might not be into it, but at the end of the day, they still feel comfortable with me, you know? And then when it comes to women being non-needy and letting them be free, this is huge with women, because a lot of the times, this will create good feelings. A lot of women, they don't like to be judged. They don't want to be criticized. And there's a difference between having boundaries, but then also having freedom and not being judgmental. Because, like, for example, with some women, they have certain, especially when it comes to sexuality, they might have these different preferences that they are afraid to tell you about. But if you can be open about those things and, like, no shame, like, hey, whatever your thing is, it's all good. Like, having that sense of freedom without having to hide themselves can make them feel really good. And this is not just for women in that context, but people in general. I'm trying to think of a good example where it doesn't have to be a woman, but like like a friend of mine who really likes to eat certain junk foods and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't eat all the time, but that's your thing, man. Go for it. That's cool. And I'm not gonna. Maybe I'll tease them. Maybe we'll joke and tease each other about it, but we can laugh about it. But I'm not trying to control and say, hey, don't do that, and be that, trying to get him to fit perfectly into what I think he should be. So that's what I mean by being non-needy and giving the people the freedom to be themselves, and then you obviously are yourself. There's a lot of freedom going on where, you do your thing, they do their thing, and there's a mutual respect. If you can do this and not just shun people out the first second that they do something that you're not into, you have a grace to yourself that people are going to be drawn to. That makes you very, very likable. And people know that they can be themselves around you. And a lot of the times what's weird is when you don't really try to control that other person, oftentimes, because there's no resistance on them, there's no one telling them what to do, they oftentimes I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing worth pushing back on, so I'm just gonna stop doing this anyway, because a lot of times people do things out of, it's a rebellion. They want to have control over something, they want to rebel against someone who's on their case, but as soon as nobody is on their case and there's no really reason to rebel, so then people just kind of like, oh, I guess I can let go of that. And maybe you did help them do that, but wasn't directly or wasn't controlling them. Okay, guys, so anyway, that's today's topic. Are you a likable man? So every now and then check in with yourself and ask yourself, hey, am I a likable man? And go through these things and ask yourself, are you doing any of these things? And if you are, switch it up, because a big part of making friends and meeting better women, having better relationships with girls, is just how likable you are, And it's hard to, no one wants to point the finger at themselves and say, hey, I kind of suck. It's been my problem this whole time, actually. And because that means that now you have to do something different. You have to go outside of your comfort zone and try something new. But if you want to achieve that level and be with the people that you really want to be with, it requires you to do this from time to time. So get after it, guys. And if you've done this, or if you realize, what are the ones that resonated with you most? What are any of these things that you heard? Did they resonate with you? Did they stick with you? If they did, drop me some comments down below. I'd love to hear back from you guys and see how you're interpreting some of this in your own behaviors. Otherwise, if you're not already, please, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I drop videos every week. And if you're looking for one-on-one coaching with me, there are links down below. All right, guys, that's it for this video. We will see you in the next one. Cheers.